Hi everybody! I hope you're all having a good day. I hope you're all smiling and enjoying your lovely day. Welcome to one of my first actual PMX Editor tutorials. I have made an ultimate guide to PMX Editor, but I have so many of you guys demanding for more tutorials and stuff about modifying your models, editing, fixing, and blah 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 blah. So in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you guys how to enhance your physics by making them smoother like butter. So basically, in case you're wondering what do I mean by smooth physics, allow me to demonstrate how they're going to look like. You've probably seen a couple of videos where you've seen the hair would be super silky movement. You're like, oh man, I would love to have those physics, but I don't know how to do it. So right here, I can click on play, and then I can move my physics right here, and you can see how silky the hair is moving. That's what a lot of people really want, and you can see that the skirt also moves really nice as well, and all that. You know, they all have their own ways of, you know, smooth physics. So for example, the hair has the 49 bones, and then the wings have the 15 bones, which I will be giving out the physics values for them to save your butt. So that's what we're going to do. That's supposed to be the end result, but do keep in mind also you'll have to also modify the colliders, so that way your physics will come out really great when it comes to MMD and D physics. And trust me, this will use a bit of power depending on how you set it up, so please make sure you don't have a potato computer. And also, I highly recommend, if you have no clue how to do 3D models, you have no idea how to rig, you don't know what weight paint is, you have no idea what a bone is, please do not watch this video. Please take your research, take time to research, go on DeviantArt, check on how to weight paint PMX Editor, like literally do research, learn about how to rig a model before you even do this tutorial, because I'm going to go over some fancy words that you might get yourself confused about. So please, for your own sanity, in case you get very confused of what I'm going to do, please at your own risk, research before even following this tutorial. But even then, let's continue on. So let's say I want to remake the little ponytail's physics. Let's say I want to, you know, change it for whatever reason. Like, let's say you have a Tita model and you hate the hair physics and you want to remake it. So the first step I'm going to do is first make sure that the hair has its own part, basically. So let me just scroll down here. That's wings. Right here, there you go, ponytail. So let's say, for example, you just want the ponytail only, you don't want the rest of the hair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the piece of hair, press Ctrl X. It's gonna kind of lag a bit, but there you go. That's in case you want to separate the hair strands, but do keep in mind it might not work for everybody, but this is a way to get it working, so you can do that. You can right click and click on split, and you can split the hair up. Give it some time, and then a new material slot will pop up, and we can basically deal with this. We'll focus on this hair, so that's what we're gonna do. Do keep in mind PMX Editor might do something called doubles. So basically, doubles is basically when a model's vertices are not merged properly, and they're kind of like two vertices overlapping. So please keep in mind about that. PMX Editor tends to make doubles a lot. I don't know why. I guess it's probably something to do with rendering and tries and stuff. I guess. I don't know. I never understand why, but until I do find out, you're just going to have to deal with the doubles that might appear on PMX Editor. So what we're going to do first is we're going to first remove all the bones that you own. So you can go into the PMX Editor window, you can find your bone tab. I have a lot of bones here, and you could try finding the bones that correspond with your hair, the previous ones. They could be in Japanese or they could be in English. My model has them all in Japanese, but I do know exactly which one is it, so it's that one. Also, please keep in mind, don't just delete the bones, please delete the rigidities and joints. The rigidities that correspond with the hair, and then the joints that correspond with the hair also. And if you have any other unnecessary rigidities that don't even do anything, and other stuff, then make sure to remove and clean up your model. So that way it will be much more easier for you to rig this up. So once you have rigid body of the hair and the joints removed and stuff, now we have to re-weight paint the hair. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the head bone right here. Make sure that the ponytail is the only one being shown. Go to the weight paint tab, which is the W on the top right. Click on the start button. Make sure that your button's at 100 and make sure to weight paint the entire hair. Usually a trick I would have is that I zoom out a lot or just or basically use this little little button on the top right, which allows me to zoom in and out, which I have explained in my ultimate guide of PMX Editor. You can be able to zoom in and kind of weight paint a bit faster when you're a little farther away. But try to make sure you have everything weight painted. If you want to absolutely make sure that your weight paints are, perfectly fine, you can definitely go ahead, go to transform view, and then you can move the character and make sure that, nothing, no vertices are sticking out. So just to make sure, and as you can see, you can see some, that little vertice right here. That's mainly because, as I said, with doubles, they, PMX Editor ended up forgetting the doubles that are still stuck on the head part right here. So let me show you. So right here, there are some, if I put on wireframe mode, it's kind of hidden in there, but I know for a fact because it happened before with me, that there, yeah, you can kind of see them right there. Those are the random doubles. Mainly I could rather just re-weight paint that. That wouldn't be any big issue really. So you can go ahead and fix that or delete it. I personally would usually rig my stuff in Blender, but as I said, I'm doing the PMX Editor way. But that really depends on your model. Your model might actually do a very good job than mine, but yeah. Other than that, check with transform view, make sure you do your edits, and there you go, the weird bug is randomly gone. Woohoo. Now, what we're going to do now is that we're going to use an add-on called the Skirt plugin for PMX Editor. Now, if you've downloaded the newest version of English PMX Editor, you should already have this add-on. But if you're using an older version of PMX Editor, you will most likely have to download the add-on. But I will still have a link in description for the newer version, and if by chance I can find the original download for the Skirt plugin, I'll gladly put it in the description. Now, you might be wondering, Skirt plugin, isn't that for skirts, not hair? Well, actually, while it is called Skirts, it should actually have been called Automatic Physics plugin, because there are MMDers that actually use this plugin for rigging up the hair. So let me show you. So first of all, go ahead in PMX Editor and select the parts of the hair that you want rigged. I'm going to leave this part unrigged just to save my sanity and not have some weird stuff. But I'm going to go into Edit, click on Plugin, go to User, then go to where it says Skirt plugin, Automatic Curve Surface plugin, which is a name for Skirt plugin. Click on that, and then what you're going to do is select PMX model, click on Get Model, and give it some time to process. And then what you're going to do is you're going to set the bone to the head bones, and they are in Japanese, so make sure to set to the Japanese name for head. Should be this. Should look like that. You're gonna set the, I'm going to do, when I mean by 15, the 15 bones, this is actually based off of Rufus' physics values, but the thing is that he actually took down his smooth physics tutorial. Not sure why. I think it might be with the community, but either way, I'm gonna share with you. So, for a circle, you're gonna set it to 1, but if you're going to do like smooth physics for skirts, like how I got my dress rigged very nicely, you set it to 20, but I'm gonna set mine to 1 for hair, and then set the height to 15. You can also set it to 49 if you want. You can set it to 18, any number. Try not to set it to 100, that's very bad, you're gonna kill yourself. So please set it to 15. You can go ahead and name this to hair right here. since it'll save you some time. I usually would have the Japanese name, so I can use my Japanese keyboard right here, and I can type in Kami, which is basically, whoops, not that one, Kami, I meant this one. That's the Japanese symbol for hair. So you can use that as well if you want to have the Japanese name, or put it to English if you prefer English, but it's best to keep it all in Japanese. Plus also English PMX Editor has the option for the English name, so you should be fine. But anyways, what we're gonna do now is what you could also do. You can also go into the bone display frame, and this is very important because you need to have your bones registered in the display frame if you want to animate them. So best to make sure, whoops, that is for wing. Make sure that you set it to where it's going to be at a display frame. Now, if you do not have any display frame set up, you can do that later, but you can make sure to go ahead, click on display, add a new slot, and make sure to add your stuff here. Very important that you do that. Do not forget that. And if you also break the display, you can actually crash your model. Heads up. But anyways, after that, you don't have to change these other settings. Usually, I actually played around with these settings a lot. They actually kind of broke my hair, so best not to do that. You can also set up your collision. I'll probably set it to where everything... It really depends on your model. You don't have to copy these exact settings because it depends on the model. The model that you have does not match the collision type that my model has, okay? Remember that. I do set my sphere, the shape to be sphere, because that actually makes it kind of acts like spring bones, so it's really nice. And usually to keep my hair in place and not stretch a lot, I put physical plus bone alignment. You can mess with these other settings here, but I would probably say don't mess with them. Mess with it after the rigging stuff. And then this other stuff, do not worry about. You don't have to worry about them yet. But even then, this is mainly for like best to mess with them when you have skirts. For hair, don't touch them. But either way, what we're going to do is initialize them, give it some time, and then what we're going to do, my model will load up. Then you're going to click on anchor start point, give it some time to process. And what we're going to do is we are going to start telling PMX Editor where do we want the bones to be placed. So right now, the weight paint is kind of already added, but you need to tell PMX Editor to correct it. So we're going to go into masking, which is the M button. Make sure to hide the other hair. And you don't need to worry about the selection anymore. But make sure to click on joints. And make sure to select the little options up here to control the selection. Because if you have the V button on and you end up accidentally selecting your hair, you're going to have some weird results. So make sure to remember that. Make sure to use these little square buttons on the side right here and scale the joints so they're all in one. Go to view, go into, let's see, multi-view mode. And then what you're going to do is you're going to start lining them up with the hair. So like I said, it really depends on your hair. Now if you have very long hair and they're in multiple strands, please make sure to do the strands one by one. Don't just rig the entire, like, if you have giant flowing hair on your model, because I've seen some Tita models have like that giant flowing hair going on. If by any chance you have something like that, make sure to separate by strands. Don't rig the entire thing at once because then you're going to have very garbage physics. So please don't be lazy on this. And if you do want to be lazy on it, then I do not recommend doing this tutorial. Just leave the physics as they are. But if you really want smooth physics, then it is best for you to just stick with, if you really want the smooth physics, you have to make sure to follow along with this tutorial. There are other guides that I've seen. Usually most of those other guides will kind of tell you to play around with the physics. Now, you might be wondering why do you have to play around with the physics? It's mainly because each model is different. So like the 49 bones, The 49 bones is nice, but it can actually take up a lot of power and can actually look pretty weird since it does tend to like lift the hair up a lot more. Kind of like how you can go to Vroid, set the bone count to like 500 and it'll look super ridiculous. So yeah, but there you go. So make sure to align it like that. If you have to move it, you can move it elsewhere, but make sure that the joints are aligned to the hair. And once you get that done, click on anchor endpoint. Now, let's say you did a mess up, like when the bones start loading up and you see that the bones look a little weird, like you're like, hey, this isn't what I want, it looks too straight. You can click on start anchor point again, and then you can click on the joints button and you can fix it. So give it some time to process, and you can definitely edit the, you have the opportunity to go back, edit the joints, and make sure it's exactly what you want, like that. Anchor endpoint. So give it some time to process. It takes some time, especially for my computer. And there you go. You kind of get it. I might need to add more, but even then, you got it. So now you're thinking, we're done. No, we're not done, because we have to do the physics value. Now for my model, I'm gonna have a heads up for those who have the auto breathing add-on on their model. I'm going to let you guys know right now, please make sure to select your hair and make sure to set your deform value to 2, only if you have the auto breathing add-on on your model. If you do not, if you're just a typical model, an MMD typical TITA model, or just any standard model with none of those settings, the bones selected right here are the auto breath add-on. So if your model does not have these bones, do not worry about these instructions. But for my model, because I have it, please make sure to adjust the model's deform value and move the breathing bones to the bottom of the list by pressing the B button on the PMX Editor window, and that way you won't have your model frick up or break. But anyways, let me show you how the physics will look now. And so like basically, if you don't edit the physics, if you don't edit at all, here's how it's going to look like. It's going to look pretty stiff and it's going to look weird. And that's because of the physics. So you'll have to edit them, yeah. That's not what we want. So, basically, I'm gonna kind of show you, I'm not gonna go over I'm gonna kind of try and keep this short for you guys, at least the tutorial, because mainly the rest is up to you guys on this. But basically, what you'll have to do, from here on, I should have in the description a Google Drive. Hopefully by the time I upload this, there should be a Google Drive link that should have the physics values for 15 bones and then 49 bones. What you're going to do, if you do not have time to test the physics, you can download those text files and then you can copy and paste those exact values onto your model if you absolutely need to. I do recommend, test out the physics, see which is better, but even then, you can use those as samples and you can study them, see what the rules of the model physics are, and use it to your own advantage. But basically, just to go over some little more tips, make sure to also have your radius at least visible. So usually around a 0.2 up to like a 0.5-ish might work. The max you should go is a 0.8, but that really depends on the size of the mesh, how many bones you added, and how smooth you want it. The smoother, basically the lower the number, the smoother it gets, but the bigger the number, the more stiff it gets. But don't think that having it set to 0 will make it ultra smooth. That's bad. In fact, actually having it to 0.2 can also be pretty bad. So usually 0.25 can work, but keep in mind with your collisions, you might want to put it to a 0.5 or a 0.3. Really depends on the model. So let me quickly check transform view. You can kind of see a bit of a difference, maybe. Yeah, you can see it's a little more controlled. It's still a little staticky because all the bones still literally have the same values, so yeah. But basically, you can also make sure to fix up the colliders, I think it's also the fact that I might have selected the wrong collision groups. I can check here that yes, I should have had one disabled, or I should have one checked because collision group 1 is the head bone, and then also the fact that because the hairs are also collision group 1, they also interact with each other. So another thing to keep in mind too is definitely the fact, make sure that the colliders don't interact with each other. So you can set this group to like group 15 or something like that. I usually try to keep my groups all like unique, so that way they don't have to like collide with each other or have issues. It basically allows me to have more control, but basically, you know, give it its own unique group, and also make sure that they don't collide with each other. So like if your hair, if the Vtubers are purple like this, you'll have to make sure that the 7 is check marked. If your hair is orange like the one on my head here, you'll have to make sure that the group 1 is checked as well. But those that are unchecked, you can see the little rainbow panel in case you're confused. You can definitely check the, you can uncheck if you want to make sure that the hair would collide. So I set to where basically it'll collide with my spine and my arms, so that should help out. You can also set it to fingers if you want, at least for my model, but that really depends on your structure. As I said, your model structure is not going to look like this. It'll look different. But there you go. You can see now that, you can see it's starting to get more smoother as well. But we're not there yet. It's not even that smooth. It looks smooth, but that's not smooth. So, and also keep in mind with joints as well, by default they will be set to 0. Please leave the joints alone, don't touch them. Now for skirts, in case you're wondering what I mean by editing the joints later, what you're going to do is basically for skirts only, those with a round, the round rig thing going on right here. Basically what you're going to do is that you're going to select basically every single rigid body that has this little symbol right here. So look where the joint name is at, and there should be like this symbol right here. If you see anything like that on the skirt bones, make sure to select all of those joints right there. It's going to be a long list here, but basically you'll have to set the parameters to this. -1, 1, -1, and so on. So just like this for the skirt bone, but other than that, everything else without this symbol here must be set to 0 if you really want that nice smoothness. And other than that, that's pretty much what I need to show you on the rigging side of the physics. Now, as I said, I will spare some time of this video so that way you can go ahead and set up the settings, but I will, before I do end this video, I will quickly go over the settings, at least for rigid bodies, in case you're kind of wondering what the heck do they do. So basically for the repel and the friction, don't touch those. They are usually to kind of control the physics, but they're not good when it comes to smooth physics. They can actually make your physics kind of stutter, so that's not good. Mass is basically how heavy it is, movement is how much it'll move, and then rotation is how much it'll rotate. That's kind of it really in a nutshell. The position and rotate right here is basically the position and rotate of where the rigid body is at. And then the shape form, there is sphere, box, and then the kind of mixture of a sphere, rectangular, boxing capsule basically. So there's that. So for bone track is basically going to make your physics more static, and then physics OP is basically just going to make your physics stretch. But that's pretty much all I have to really say though. Also make sure that the link bones also work out. Make sure that they're connected to the right bone as well. But other than that, that's pretty much all I have to say though. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial though. Do please check the description, because I'm gonna save you time to go into the description. I'm emphasizing right now, if you want the smooth physics values, please check in the description below, because that's where you can get the values. But most of this is mainly just experimenting and seeing what best fits you. But other than that, have a lovely day. Hoika, 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 sayonara, everyone. See you guys next time. Bye!